Well, hello, gentlemen. I am very, very, very happy to have both of you on this podcast. Next Week's Life is getting pretty popular. It's going to go through the roof with you two. So welcome, Rick Bastinelli and Jim Morrissey from UBEO/Centric. So, gentlemen, thank you for joining me for the show. I'm honored.
Thanks for having us.
Yep, Mike, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Well, thank you. And thank you for your patience. As always, we always sometimes, stumble into some kind of technical problem. So we got that cured, and we'll have a little bit of fun with that when we have a microphone in front of some large group someplace. But anyway, gentlemen, it's great to see you. And honestly, I'm really thrilled, to have you on the show. A couple of quick things, Rick and Jim, both of you have been in this business for a while. Rick, you and I go back quite a bit. And I think Jim, maybe not so far, but maybe you can explain to the audience, share with the audience some of your recent changes in your life with the sale of Centric to UBEO, and tell us about yourself a little bit.
Well, Mike, I started in the business 50 years ago. First job out of college was working with a dealership in southeastern Pennsylvania. I was there for 15 years and progressed to vice president of sales for the company and had a minority partnership in the organization. And after a number of years, I just decided that I really had interest in building my own dealership. So in 1990, I connected with Brian Merriman, who at the time was a president of Savin. And we did a deal for me to buy the remains of the Savin branch in Baltimore, Maryland. And, in 1991, our first full year in the business, I think we did a little over $1 million in revenue. And 30 years later, in 2021, we had 7 branches throughout the Mid-Atlantic region. We had over 200 employees, and we were generating revenues in excess of $60 million a year. And, it was at that time that, we made a decision to transition the company, and we connected with UBEO at that time.
Incredible story. $1 million to how much?
60 million.
Congratulations. Outstanding. So let's swing over to Jim a little bit. So Jim, you've been in the business how long?
Since 81. Believe it or not, long time.
That is a long time. And you and I have bumped into each other here and there along the way. And I believe part of your experience took you to Icon, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, originally, I started out in a dealership. I ended up at, I think I was 26 at the time. I started my own company and ran that for 2 years and then sold to my partner and went to Canon USA. I spent 7 years at Canon USA. I was the Eastern Regional Manager, and Alco Standard was my customer at the time. And they made me an offer I couldn't refuse, and went from them being my customer to working for them. So my check changed, but my association in the business didn't, which was really fun. I ended up with a great group of mentors, stayed with the company for better or for worse, mostly better, for a long time. I guess it was 9 years ago that it went from, for me, it went Icon to Rico. I stayed after the acquisition to Rico for a couple of years and then packed it in and got out of the industry for a while, which I had to because I had a non-compete. And then got back in because I missed it. And I realized what a crazy good industry. I was in the supply distribution business for 2 years, and I actually owned a piece of the company. And no customer retention to speak of, none of all the benefits of margin opportunity and growth that you have in our business. And I thought to myself, I got to get back in. So I did. And that's how I got reconnected with Jim Sheffield, John Barbieri, and the crew over at UBEO. And the rest is kind of history from there. It's been, believe it or not, almost 5 years now that I've been on this journey. I think the total company is about 6.5 now.
So, gentlemen, you both have a huge track record, wonderful track record for success. And both of you have worked for dealerships or larger companies and made transitions both ways. So, Rick, you're just recently coming out of your, pretty much your own destiny for the last so many years. How does it feel to go from, independent entrepreneur to a UBEO employee? How's that working?
Mike, it's really been a great seamless transition. For a number of years at Centric, I had an advisory board, and one of the major topics of discussion during the last several meetings was a succession plan for the organization. Our goal was really to grow the company, but to sustain the business, whether I was there or not. And as we all know, when you get into your mid to late 70s, you never know what the future holds. So my concern was always about the security and the stability of the employees and the customers. And, I just felt at that point, it was time to consider a transition.
And you like it. They took care of your employees, they took care of your clients.
I do. When we decided to go down that path, we established a criteria where, our focus, our 5-year business plan at Centric prior to the acquisition was to focus on, the document industry with an emphasis on production, software, major accounts, and continuing to make acquisitions. And, all of those focused goals aligned perfectly with what UBEO was trying to accomplish. And, when someone is looking at selling their company, there's a lot of great options out there. And, all of the acquisition companies that are backed by private equity are impressive companies and they have great leadership. But in my opinion, they're all very different. And, the key to success is to try to find where is that right match? What is the right fit for your team and for your culture? And, the more we looked at UBEO and evaluated, what their focus was and, what their pillars were, we became convinced that we were very much aligned and, interested in joining forces with them.
So I'm going to ask both of you this question. Maybe comment before. So UBEO seems to have come just like thunder and lightning. Boom, they were there, right? And they made a big splash over the last few years. But they're still kind of quiet, relative to some of the other private equity groups. So the question is, does your private equity group, are they satisfied with the investments that they've made so far? And how are they feeling about 23 and 24? Are they still bullish? Are you still bullish in this print business and core business or IT business? So Jim, I'll turn that one over to you first.
Yeah, it's a great question. And I agree with Rick on two fronts. One, that, we're not looking to buy everybody. We're only looking to buy cultural match. And we have a very, very clear acquisition plan. It's size and geography and culture. Those are the three criteria, and it has to match all three. We have a saying at UBEO, John Barbieri is famous for saying, the spouting whale gets harpooned. So we have intentionally kept our mouth shut and let our performance do the work for us in terms of what we really need, which is the leverage with the vendors, with the lease companies, with our size. That's really the only big benefit to having notoriety, or that. And what the other thing that we cared about was, we want people inside the industry to want to come to our company. So we do a lot of work promoting with existing people in the industry and talking about why we're the choice, not only for customers, but for employees. And that's been very, very successful campaign. I have to say the word of mouth and the approach that we've taken has really, really worked in both directions, of dealers that have contacted us and also the brokers that we're working with, they understand what's going on behind the scenes. They've been tipping us off on quite a few opportunities. And the employees that we've hired, I mean, at one point I had thousands of people reporting to me in the former company, and I get to pick just the good ones. So I've been able to recruit a lot of people with a lot of experience, which is really, it takes the company to another level when you can bring somebody in that really understands what you're trying to get to and has already done it, which is kind of the case with me. I've been through 2 tours of this, good and bad. So we really know, and we've got all the collective capital in terms of intellectual capital. I mean, we've got people like Rick who are not on the sidelines. They're engaged with running the business, and their opinions matter. As far as the business is concerned, I could not be more excited than right now. I'd be happy to expand on that, but I'll let Rick answer the question. But I'm very, very bullish. And our Sentinel Capital Partners, our funding source, they're going with what we're telling them. They're not really paying attention to outside influences around our market. They see the financials very clearly, and they're very excited about what we've been doing. So no issues there.
So Rick, you feel the same way, bullish on the industry? And thank you, Jim.
Yes, Mike, our decision to sell had nothing to do with the state of the company or the state of the industry. Centric was growing. We were debt-free. We were profitable. I continue to be very bullish on the future opportunities that are available in this industry. For us, it was more about, quite frankly, my age and, the company's future, and, not ever putting my family burdened with the responsibility of dealing with it with me being gone. I wanted this transition to happen while I was still actively involved in the business, running the company, managing the transition, and ensuring, our commitment to our employees and customers, that they were maintained. And, the future of the business, in my opinion, has never been brighter, because so many of our competitors are struggling. And quite frankly, some of them are imploding, and the opportunity in the marketplace has never been greater.
So when both of you look, and you're always talking to other dealers, and you're involved with dealer advisory councils or OEMs and so on, it seems to me that there's a big conflict of opinion regarding IT services, and how important is that to their dealership or a private equity dealership. So has UBEO made a decision to stay in the core, or what is your position on IT services and or adjacent kind of business? So Jim?
Yeah, it's really another thing that I think we're not like any of the other private equity companies. Not that theirs is wrong. We just feel very committed to what we're doing, which is we have 4 pillars. We have production and wide format. We have strategic accounts, which all the services that we provide are tailor-made for that mid-market major account that needs our help and our services. And we have what we call Pro IT, which is workflow software. We don't take care of networks. We have a very small operation in California that we maintain. We're not looking to scale it or grow it. I have nothing against IT services business. It just doesn't make any sense to us at this point in we're a 6-year-old company. If you look at it from, when we started buying companies. And to make those investments and distract us from a $22 billion, very, very profitable industry where most of our competitors are falling apart, doesn't make any sense to us. We're $400 million now. We built a platform that we now can do acquisitions and add on layers without adding a penny of cost to the core company, which was not that easy when we were 60 million, because we had to take on a lot of expense in the core company. But now that we're adding companies like Rick's, we can support Rick's company to take it to the next level, but we don't have to spend more money to do that. So all the while, we started out to build a great company as a platform, and not just as a bunch of dealers that work independently. We're managed locally. All the decisions related to people and customers are just like a dealership. When it comes to, which manufacturers we're going to have and which leasing companies that we're going to use, and all of the things that are leverage opportunities, those are the things that we're bringing together. So the IT services to us, phones, IT services, whatever else, we just see it as a big distraction. It doesn't mean that the dealers that are doing it are bad, or the companies that are doing it are bad. But when I go to buy a dealership and I see the profit margin of a wide format dealer, and all they sell is wide format, I want to get into that business. When I see the profitability of production and professional services in terms of our pro IT group, I want to get into that business. I don't want to take my resources and distract them to a business that would be new, would be difficult to, and in our opinion, they're not the same decision maker. That was to me, that was a misnomer. And if I look back in the history of a lot of these other companies, the IT services business has distracted them from their core business more than it's helped them in the aggregate of their profit. And I think everyone's, except a very small few, can say that it's profitable because they're so young. When you start a business, you've got 5 years of investment before the thing is going to turn a profit. That's normal. Yeah. So a lot of the dealerships are in that cycle, and we have no desire to get into that cycle. We want to be good, the best at what we are. Like, we're going to be king of production. We are going to be kings of production. And we think that's a business in itself. We don't need to get into other stuff. So anyway, that's a long version of why we're not doing it, but it's a $22 billion industry, and we're 2% market share. So we're very clear on what we're doing.
So again, for both of you, and thank you for that explanation. It makes sense, right? And like I said in the beginning, depending on the dealer, they're either over here or they're over there. It's a very interesting conversation. But you're 400 million this year, and your sales, where are your sales this year? Your trajectory for growth is what? What's the outlook?
Yeah, what I would like, and what is, where we're at right now. Last year we had a record-breaking year, double-digit in profit and revenue. We are on a similar trajectory this year to do exact same thing.
Wow. So, congratulations.
And it's all coming from the pillars. We have a lot of large strategic takeaways. We have a lot of production, right in the center and core of what we're trying to go after. We're being successful at doing those things. And as Rick articulated, we're finding that the competition is not the dealers. The dealers are still strong and they're still chugging away. We're finding the larger companies to be struggling.
If you had 2 or 3 things that you wanted to tell an independent dealer, you wanted to give them some advice about whether they should sell or what they might do, or what they should be thinking about, 23 and 24, what would you be telling the dealer? What's the best advice?
Yeah, we try to look at each acquisition as a custom suit. As Rick said, we want to listen to the owner in what are they trying to accomplish. And if someone comes to you and it's their way or the highway, or it's this is what we're going to do, I would walk away, because the reality is that the math is the math. You know, people could talk about, oh, we got this or we got that. The truth of the matter, the math is the math. And what I mean by that is one of Rick's objectives, and it speaks to the core of who he is. One of his priorities was that we weren't going to chop shop the operation once we bought it, which, you know, can you add a higher multiple when you're going to cut out the building, cut out 50 employees, cut out, you know, everything that Rick spent 40 years building? Yeah, of course, it's math, right? But we don't want to do that. We want to add layers onto the company, let the local management do their thing, but we have a menu of services that we think will augment an existing successful company and grow it. And that's how it's going to get really good for everybody versus, you know, some of the alternatives. It's not so good after a couple of years. And anybody that tells you that things aren't going to change, it's just not true. It's my feeling right now is that we're a hybrid at UBEO, where we're taking the best of what a corporation understands in all the tech, all the processes, all the things, but keeping it very focused on being a dealership as its core, which is customer, employee, employee. Because this business, I was told this by several of my mentors years ago, it's a people business.
Yeah.
And once you start spreadsheeting it, it's over. You're not a dealership anymore once you start just looking at the spreadsheet. And the people who are going to sell, they should know what they want for their employees, what they want for themselves. And so far, we've had 100% of the ones we wanted, because the owner was concerned about exactly what I just said. And those are fit for us. And it doesn't make the other ones not good. It just, our fit is exactly that.
Rick, we've been talking about an awful lot of things these last few minutes here, and much of it, of course, I would repeat is your influence in the industry, the respect that people have for you, my appreciation personally, and I know Jim agrees with me. Jim Morrissey agrees with me. When you sold your business, that was probably the biggest news I can think of in that particular window or cycle of news. So, when I think about it, you invested your heart and soul in your business. You take great care about what you do and all the community you work with. I'm kind of curious, what advice would you give to a dealer, just probably generally speaking, what about selling? What advice would you give to the dealers who are actually considering, hey, Rick Bastinelli did it, maybe I should be doing it? What do you think, Rick?
Well, Mike, thank you, first of all, for the kind words and compliments. I think that, like you and many of us in the business, you just come to work every day and do the best thing you can for your employees and your customers, and you hope that good things happen. And that's really been, my guiding light for, the past 50 years that I've been in this business doing this. But, over the past several years, I've worked very closely with the dealer advisory board that has worked with me at Centric. And, as years passed by, our main concern was the long-term sustainability of the company. And as a 100% owner, my core focus was really, the security and the stability of all of the employees at Centric and, of course, our customers. And, after evaluating several options, we decided at that point to consider an acquisition. And we felt that that would be the best course of long-term sustainability for the company, and in the best interest of, all the employees and customers as well. I think for any dealer that is considering the possibility of selling, my advice to them would be to partner with some of the industry professionals that really focus on helping with that particular project. I think those individuals are professionals at helping a dealer prepare their financials. They prepare prospectus on the dealership so that it shares all the information that an acquirer would want to share. I think they're helpful in setting realistic expectations for the dealer in terms of what's going on in the industry, and most importantly, could help them, emotionally with the process of putting a business up for sale and marketing it to all the potential acquirers. In our situation, we partnered with John Hay and Todd Johnson, and the collaboration with them was just, indispensable in terms of us, getting through this project very successfully.
So Rick, just a couple of quick thoughts. You've always been someone that I admire, and I admit I'm biased. So to the audience, I have to. I'm not embarrassed to say I love this guy, and you've been a remarkable mentor to me and many people in the industry. When you went to sell the business, is it safe to say that money wasn't everything? And what guided your thoughts? And money is critically important, of course, to any transaction, but what guided your thoughts when you talk about sustainability beyond Rick Bastinelli?
Well, I think that we had spent a lot of time and effort putting together a business plan at Centric. And that business plan was focused on certain principles and objectives that we wanted to achieve in the future. Um, and When we were evaluating the options, it was very important to us to align with an organization um, where our core principles were consistent and synergistic in terms of what we were trying to accomplish. I think the other thing that was very important to me and other members of the senior management team here is that we wanted Centric to remain Centric. We wanted to make sure that the employees were going to remain in the same position. We wanted to make sure that they were going to be, at the same level of compensation, and that the acquirer would benefit from our revenue growth. They would benefit from our profitability, but they would allow us to continue to operate as a standalone entity. Um, Much of our business plan was focused around production, software, uh, generating strategic accounts, and really focusing on not only production with the documents, but also production in the wide format world. And as we looked at the options, it became very evident that UBEO was very consistent with what our primary objectives and pillars were, and they really enabled us to achieve our objective of leaving Centric.
So in looking back, when did you sell? How long ago?
Uh, December 31st, 2021.
So it's been a little bit of time, and it's panned out to your satisfaction. And no man is an island when you grow a business over the past how many years you did. Um, your team was paramount in your mind, right? I mean, you had to take care of your team. Looking back now on 2 years, um, how's the team doing? And who would you like to thank?
Well, first of all, we've been blessed with just an amazing team. They have demonstrated that they have just been an indispensable part of our success. Over the years, we have overcome many challenges. We've achieved remarkable milestones, and it's really been their hard work, their dedication, their unwavering commitment that is the true cornerstone of our success. And throughout the acquisition, they have demonstrated tremendous adaptability and just a remarkable willingness to accept change. Although I will say the impact to them has been minimal based off the model that UBEO has, but it's still different. And they have adapted to the change very, very well. So, they're just an amazing group of people. Many of them have been here for 20 to 30 years, and I'm very grateful to them and everything that they have done to make this company just a well-respected quality organization in our industry.
Well, Centric has always represented that, and it's nice to hear, that UBEO continues to provide support for Centric, the Centric team, the Centric brand, and that you're so positive about it. And a couple of quick things I'm curious about. When you're a master of your domain. I mean, you manage Centric brilliantly. So after you sold, were there any funny moments where you realize, hey, I sold this company, and that's funny. I didn't expect that. Was there any? Did you have any moments like that?
I think there were some eye-opening moments. I can remember the very first UBO meeting that I went to very shortly after the acquisition. I'm sitting in a group with all the presidents, vice presidents, and general managers of UBO's companies around the country. And, they're discussing all the benchmarks and KPIs and, all of the just all the standards and expectations that they have for their companies around the country. And I soon became aware of the fact that there was a level of accountability that's now part of the relationship that really wasn't evident in the past. And it's funny because friends would call and congratulate me on the sale and make a comment such as, well, you're probably happy you have all that pressure off of you and all that stress is gone. And I would kind of laugh and just say, hell no. Actually, I feel there's more pressure now than there was before. But whether you own the company or whether you don't own the company, when you're running a business, there's always pressure to perform. And obviously that doesn't go away when you make that acquisition.
Well, you're absolutely remarkable with what you've achieved so far. And I think you're the kind of person, actually, I know you're the kind of person, you're going to perform just because it's in your DNA. But those are funny moments, I'm sure, after running your company pretty much exclusively with your executive team and all of a sudden being around other presidents. That's a different world. That is a different world. So, when you think about, the industry, we could probably kind of move on a little bit, but when you think about the industry in general, your timing was excellent. Your business was doing well. Your team is absolutely brilliant. What do you see, the rest of this year and going into 24? What are you feeling right now and thinking about the rest of this year, especially?
Mike, I think about this a lot because obviously our motivation to be acquired by UBEO had nothing to do with the performance of the company. We were growing, we were debt-free, we were profitable. It really, for us, it came down to a matter of age. You reach your mid 70s, and as I said earlier, you really want to be focused on the long-term sustainability of the company. But we are very bullish on the industry. I feel the opportunity in the industry, quite frankly, has never been better. The competitive landscape is such that any dealer of size and scale that has the offerings that we've been blessed to have in our portfolio has so much opportunity today. And opportunity within the document business. Production has been a tremendous growth engine for us. Going to the upside of wide format has been a tremendous opportunity for us. During the pandemic, we had tremendous success with software, where many businesses realized they needed access to any document, anytime, from anywhere. And providing them document management software and cloud solutions was a huge opportunity for us to experience growth during that period of time. So we're very strong. It's a $22 billion marketplace. We probably have less than 2% market share at this stage of the game. So the growth potential has never been better.
Well, that's exciting news for everyone to hear. Our audience is going to really appreciate that. I happen to share your enthusiasm. So, is there anything you would like to mention that I failed to somehow touch upon before we close this out?
There definitely is. I just want to acknowledge the tremendous job and service that you do for our industry. Um, these podcasts, the consortium, the program you have every January, it is such a source of education to all of us in the industry. Um, you know, I've always admired you as a industry professional and as a dear friend. And I just wanted to thank you for everything that you're doing to promote this wonderful industry and to just be a real ambassador of, all the good things that the industry has to offer. Thank you, my friend. I love you too.
That's very kind, and believe me, it means the world to me. So, to Jim, thank you very much for spending time with us today. And Rick, I look forward to seeing you in January. And in the meantime, you have a good day. Love you.
Thank you, my friend. Love you too.
You got it.